So welcome everyone to the Transformation Summit. We are together, wise women rising for embodied change. I'm Alison Palmer, I'm your host, and I'm thrilled to introduce to you today Michelle J. Howe. Now, Michelle is the founder and president of Empath Evolution, and it is her mission to really highlight the importance of feelings and emotions in our life and energy around that. Now, you can read her full bio underneath here, so make sure you do, because then you'll get all the juicy details of all that she brings to share with the world. And we are going to talk about something which is so relevant today, which is living with ease, authenticity, and flow. Welcome, massive welcome to you, Michelle.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Well, I'm thrilled to be, discussing this with you. I'm thrilled to be, tapping into your wisdom and sharing it with people around this because, this is the Transformation Summit. So we're doing the inner transformation and we're contributing to external transformation, and then there's also the transformation that happens as we're doing that within ourselves. And the reason why I'm so excited about this is because emotions and feelings are personally something that, I confess, I get triggered really quickly, and I can just, blank off because I don't know how to deal with something, this swell of emotions that comes up. But then there's, lots of other emotions that people have. And I know we're going to explore a lot about that. And the reason why I think that it's so relevant is because historically, women have been told to squash our feelings from not being rational. And then we're invited to dive into our feelings. And it's just a mishmash of confusion, I think. So
Yeah.
let's start with, there's struggles and hidden challenges that go on around emotions. So perhaps that's the best starting point. If you could talk about those.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So hello, ladies, and welcome. I'm so excited to share with you guys. I know every single one of you is listening because you're doing great work in the world and you would like to contribute. And it just makes me like excited. It feels so great to just connect with you. So the hidden challenges for every person, whether you're a male or a female, really is the emotional side of us. For the most part, we don't know what to do with it when they rise up. And our parents may not have known what to do with it either. So, for the most part, either, stop crying, or you're too emotional, or you're too sensitive, or we just deny or set things aside when they're too traumatic, and we feel out of control. So I think that emotional education needs to be something that comes to the table in some way to help people deal with the changes that are in front of them right now. In general, life is going to throw, some years are going to be easy, some years harder. You could look at, the whole litany of 30, 40, 50 or more years that you've lived, and sometimes have been amazingly smooth, and other times things have gotten really rough, depending on what challenges have come your way. The way I look at it is what things you're learning. What is the next thing you're learning? And things sometimes repeat, and they repeat within families, and they repeat within your life, because whether we recognize it or not, conscious or not, we repeat the same things. There's things that we engage in, most of it is relationships. We engage in things with people that may or may not, they look one way, then they turn out a different way. So, looking deeper is a lot of the work that I do. Why are we doing what we're doing? Who am I? So when we live in the world, we live in the world of energy. Emotions is one of those energies that you will feel, but you will feel hot, you will feel cold, you will feel at peace, you will feel joy. Emotions are just, they'll come and they'll go, and they're not comfortable because they're so like they like twist in you. You know, when we think of emotions, we think of the hard emotions, the painful emotions. They could be grief, they could be anger, it could be resentment, it could be jealousy. It's just, you're unable to move them through. They get stuck, and then at some point you're going to blow up. All right. So my job, when I grew up, I could never understand why I was moody. I'm like, why? What is going on? Oh, PMS. Oh, I need time to recharge. I feel drained now. Like I was always somewhat sensitive to what was going on. And when I would meet people, I knew instinctively, I didn't know any other term for it at the time, that there's something wrong. And I would probe and I would probe. Or I'd come home from school and something wasn't right. I wasn't feeling right. So I would eat to calm down, eat, and go overboard with that, but it would calm me down. So feeling is so important. So feeling is more like the feminine side of who we are. We have a male side, male traits. Each male or woman, man or woman has these traits. And because society has geared up and is more structured to be more male, logical oriented, step by step, all the things that we do, even women, we are conditioned to work in that mindset. But the emotional side, the receiving side, the fluid side, that's the authentic side, and a very natural side for women that we will miss if we are too structured this way. So much of us is free flow. And that's why society right now, there's like a little collision going on for many, many, many reasons. But how do we step forward authentically when we dismiss emotions and sensitivity and how things feel? Because feeling is really the hallmark of some of us, how we step forward and how we read what's actually happening. I discovered, and it's not for everybody per se, but I went through challenges, and I went through one specific challenge in my I was 40 years old, huge challenge. I'm like, geez, I could figure everything else out. I have all these things, my ducks in a row somewhat, although I always have challenges here and there. And it threw me, and I looked into it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm sensitive. No, I'm not really sensitive. I would never say I'm sensitive. Ooh, I am empathic. I am an empath. I'm like, what is an empath? Show me show me what that is. 30 traits. Holy Jesus, I think I have these 30 traits. I've managed a lot of them. I know how to manage myself somewhat, but here are these 30 traits. This is how I relate to people. And this is why I like to be away from people to recharge.
Mm-hmm. So, I think this is relating to a lot of people here. All that you've said, about all of those emotions and everything, and acknowledging that we having a real calling to be more aligned to our feelings. I'd be, a multi-millionaire if I was given $1 for every time somebody said to me, I just need to feel into this a bit. And that's what we do very often as women. And you saying about, oh my goodness, I'm an empath. I never knew. I think that is such an interesting thing. So how do we know if we are an empath?
Well, so on a broader scale, empath is about feeling. It's about feeling. We all feel. Oh, let me see what I think of that person. We tune into that person. Oh, do we like them? Do we not like them? We're all doing this feeling thing all the time. But the person that it feels drained by it is, how do I say this? They are able to uplift others around them. They hold such a light, beautiful energy within them. People share their stories with them. So I always say the number one trait to determine whether you're an empath is if people pour their hearts out at you. Yeah, guess what? You're an empath. Because in the process of sharing with you, you're exchanging an energy with them. You're able to lift that and clear that from their field. And a lot of times, unknowingly, the empath will take that on, will tune into that to such a degree. So an empath, everybody is going that way, by the way. Like, people are not going to escape the fact that they're going to start feeling more and more and more and being more and more sensitive. But an empath can easily do a oneness with the person in front of them, can easily step into their mental, their emotional, their physical, not even realizing that they're doing it. It's like there is no barrier between them and the other person.
Yeah. And that really, to me, that highlights the need. I mean, first of all, it's not surprising that, even before that, hooray that, everyone is moving towards becoming an empath. That's fantastic. That's just the most amazing thing. But also, given the transformative field that we're working in, it's not surprising that there's such a high concentration of women in particular who are empaths, even if they don't know that, working in these fields, because it's like the callings go together. The calling of wanting to help people, really help people, is something goes very well with this, the being an empath. It just seems to fit so well. I can't remember what else I was going to say. No, it slipped from my mind. So, it was about boundaries. That was it. So, this melding with another person, I feel that that's something really big to be explored here. Well, we don't have time to explore it in a very big way, but it seems like there's stuff that we need to know about this. We need to shine the light of awareness on the fact that this is happening to protect ourselves. Do we not?
So there's a lot as we go down this path that we need to know, because what's happening is, yes, the empath needs to understand who she is. And a lot of times, because the world is so strong and how and what is expected of us, we want to please, we want to serve, we end up really becoming what everybody around us needs us to be and what would be acceptable to be. And in a sense, we could easily lose ourselves because the boundaries, not the boundaries, I don't want to think in terms of boundary, but we can easily merge. We can easily be fascinated with what's around us instead of what's within us. So it is that same transformational journey. And the hard part for an empath is that the feelings, it's going to feel invasive. It's going to feel overwhelming to manage emotions. And you can be triggered when somebody has an emotion that either you absorbed it from them or you hold a similar thread within you and they activate it. And you're like, I'm uncomfortable. What is it that's making me uncomfortable? Why am I upset? Why, what is this? So if you can feel what's around you and you've hidden something away in the closet because you don't want to look at that anymore, right? And someone comes walking in the door that's holding that same exact situation. Ding, 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 ding. This thing in the closet is going, I don't care what boundary you've got. This is you. So energy between people is electric and magnetic. We're attracted to people. There's levels of vibration. Like some people are uplifting, some people are more heavier when you talk to them. So definitely boundary is something you establish as you become a more seasoned, empowered empath. You know where you are, you know what you hold, you know what it feels like. And you quote unquote protect that by holding it and knowing where you are, instead of you're not around the room, you're right here. Yes. So a lot of it has to do with how we engage the environment, and no one taught us. We just do what's natural. Like I would be presenting at a business meeting and I go directly to the person that needs help. I don't even know why I am attracted to talk to this person over here. I go over here, somebody has died in their family. You know, she's not sharing this with the world. She's not crying. It's like a laser beam that's telling me where to go, because she needs some help, because on a spiritual level, we are all connected. So it doesn't really, you know, human to human, yeah, we're different. But spiritually speaking, we are not that different. It's the more you understand why and who you are, the more you'll really be able to understand why they're acting the way they're acting, why they're thinking the way they're thinking, what's actually in their field to be worked through. So we're all here, you know. It's funny because there's that we compare, we all think that we're all the same. We are not all the same. We all came here to do very different things, to learn very different things. So, and we didn't come in with the same strengths or the same skills. So you could look at somebody who, by all accounts, maybe they're homeless, maybe they everything is going wrong for them, all right? But maybe that is exactly what needs to happen for them to step into the next phase of their life. Mm-hmm. So it's very, very humbling to, when you, as a human, you try to discern, you judge in some way what's happening. You don't want to be hurt, but things happen for reasons that we don't always know. So it's, yeah.
Yeah, yes. I really like what you're saying there, and I really appreciate your you know, distinction about not boundaries, because yeah, I'd never thought of that before. We talk about we must establish boundaries, but actually I like how you put that. It's about refocusing, remembering who you are, so that you can be, if you choose to, working with that person, but you can also choose to not take on their emotions, that to acknowledge that their feelings are their feelings, and not be overwhelmed by it, and to acknowledge what's yours.
Yeah, I just want to add, Alison,
might have it wrong.
It's a skill. It's a skill. It's not, you know, people say boundaries. I'm just going to cut out my sister or cut out. Yes, that helps. That helps. That might help you, right? But energetically, you could still be connected to that person.
Okay.
You know, and it doesn't, there's a reason all of the people that come in our life, all of the situations that come in our life are meant for us to work them through in a positive way without becoming judgmental against them or tight or protected, or, you know, we are meant to serve them, but and serve ourselves at the same time. So the charges that are in us, the emotions that we've hidden away, the things that we don't even, you know, we've never dove, we don't want to look at emotions. Why would we? You know what I mean? They are there until we, on purpose, clear them out, intentionally clearing them out and looking at every single situation as something that is teaching you, you attracted that. And the bigger part of all this is that, and I do an intensive, a free intensive a couple times a year. At the end of all of these things, the solution is what I consider to be a journey to self. You need to know who you are. And who you are, you'll be surprised. It may not be what you think it is once you really start moving into what it is and what that vibration is. And you start moving out the vibrations that are not you and no longer welcome. And then you slowly start transforming from the inside. And then what you attract on the outside. So, we're trying to appeal to our minds. Our minds want to understand, of course, right? But our bodies and our emotions, they're not logical. And our imagination serves in a huge way, because we can get in touch with our subconscious. And, it's all vibrational. So when we come together, when you are more evolved, when you step into, you start understanding yourself, but you more importantly start understanding other people and why they do what they do. And instead of judging them or making things a little harder for them, you just bring more space to it, more heart to it, and things shift. And you start to recognize what, sometimes some of the empaths are really focused on always seeing, they can see the negativity everywhere. Other empaths only see love everywhere and potential and soul everywhere. I'm like, we are all a mix of both. And if you just look at the good side of a person or their potential or what they could be versus how they're showing up, you're missing parts of this puzzle. So, it ends up being like, you're going to learn one way or another. And some of these lessons are really hard. Yeah. They're really hard. Yeah.
That's what I was going to say, because sometimes, we can say that, but when we actually practice it and do it, it can feel really hard. And as you're saying, it's, there's all stuff coming up for us to learn as spiritual beings and, here. And so when it becomes really hard, especially in relationship to other people, I mean, we can go through our own dark night of the soul, or we could go through many of those that are more just, we acknowledge, and more just about our own stuff. But when it's really about one or more other people, and we're actually moving, we're actually being with them, with that, or not being with them, but energetically being with them in the way that you're saying, I think that this is such it's not necessarily going to be easy, but it's probably essential. What happens if we don't succeed at doing that? What happens if we just say this is too much and we back off? What are the
so interestingly enough, you stop living. You stop being hopeful. You stop being the empath needs hope and joy. And when they are stuffed with anger and resentment and I'm hiding and I'm not enough and all these things, that they're afraid of the world or afraid of other people, they're not empowering themselves. They are when I first found out, one of the ways I went through this whole crazy dark night of the soul, which I didn't even know what that was at the time. I just knew my life was upside down. And I scoped out this psychic event, and I went for a reading to this one woman. And she looked at me, she goes, "You can't hide that light underneath the bushel." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "Exactly what are you talking about?" So, these terms were new for me, but now it's like, that's why people always told me my stories. My husband would be like, "What is wrong with you? You go to a conference, people tell you, you don't even know them. They're telling," and I'm like, "It's okay. I don't mind. It's fine." But what had to happen is my life had to be turned upside down in order for me to be humbled a little bit, to pay attention, to look for something that I hadn't looked for before, because I was so smart and I was so aware intuitively, not knowing that there was something more I needed to step into. You just don't know till you know, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, and let me just pick up on the point you made about your husband saying, "What is wrong with you?" And because I think that people are going to relate to that very much, you know, people who their nearest and dearest, perhaps, um, not understanding, because often you haven't understood yourself, but even if you have understood, if the other person or the people around you don't get it or don't want to get it at the moment and say, "What is wrong with you?" Well, there's nothing wrong with you at all. And I think that that's a really,
It's a
really
huge point.
important point for you that you made. So
Well,
thank
it is important because so many, and one of the reasons why I started Empath Evolution was because I'm like, oh my God. So I've been moody. I've had these struggles along the way. This just happened to me. I'm finding my way home. How many empaths? Because I can tell when I meet them, they're empaths. You know, some of them are huge. You know, some of the sensitivity is so strong that they know from when they're young. I didn't know till I was 40. I was always intuitive. I was always careful, right? Unaware of exactly why I was getting thrown off, but it's not what's right. Empaths are like, their heart is so like pure. They don't want to like think bad of the person in front of them. What did I do wrong? You know, there's something wrong with me. Like, why don't I fit in? Like, they'll go to gatherings and they don't understand why they can't, they feel out of place. Why do I feel out of place? There's no evidence of it. It's all feeling. So of course you're going to not, you're going to brush it off because there's no evidence behind it, or you're going to feel out of place because what's wrong with me? Look what they're doing. Why do I feel? I would send my daughter, she'd go to a different, she didn't always, she was very much to herself, very goal-oriented type of girl and whatnot. When she went to social gatherings or overnights with her friends, she'd come home the next day a total mess, a total mess. And I'm looking at her and I'm like, she's just spent the night with a bunch of girls who don't know who they are. They're insecure. They have this emotion, this emotion. And she's tuning into all that, but she has no evidence of what that is. All she knows is that there's something wrong. So my heart goes out to, I teach her what I can teach her, what she allows me to teach her, but you're right. Not everybody gets it. Not at all. I have one really good example here. Same, my daughter did karate. My husband did karate with her. Different classes, but same place. And at one point, she came home. He was with her. She came home, came to my room. I was there. Mom, can you talk to Dad? I can't tell him. I had to leave. I have to leave. It was so overwhelming being in that room. It must have been a hot scene of too many people coming in and out at the same time. And my husband didn't get the memo. And my daughter didn't feel safe enough speaking to her father because it's different, right? It's different. And so I talked her through it and helped her. And then the next day I looked at my husband, I'm like, you just do not get this. She is sensitive. And mind you, she's learned how to work with that and be functional and excel with it. But you as her father, you need to be aware of what's going on. And interesting, my logical husband, who actually is sensitive, but he's too logical to even admit that, he was like a little baffled. He goes, well, what am I going to do? She needs to be able, he didn't want that for her because she needs to be able to function in life, right? But I'm like, but she's only a child. Like, get your head around this and pay attention. I'm like, so that was like me a little bit more direct with him, because it's fine with me. I'm an adult, but now this is my daughter and you're going to pay attention to her. So
yeah, I can really relate to what you've just shared there. And again, I just think that it's so important, everything you've been talking about here, because we're going to come up against that again and again, that and that label of, oh, you're being sensitive, and you shouldn't be sensitive because you're not going to be able to function in the world, you're not going to be able to do anything, the world's not like that, you're just going to get hurt. And all of these kind of responses can be flung at us. And so the more that we can really just cherish the qualities of being an empath, and cherish how relevant it is to the world, and to co-creating the transformations we want to see in the world. I mean, imagine if everyone was working to change the world, and there was no
you
aspect of
work, yeah,
empathy in it.
you work, your work to change the world starts with changing yourself, because the moment you change yourself, everybody you interact with is changed just from that. That those same patterns do not repeat. There's no way for them to go. Like, you just become so wise and so happy within yourself that the outside world doesn't have a chance at impacting that. And you develop a strong awareness of vibration and a strong awareness of what is your role in this soup of situations, right? What can you do? What are you called to do? What is a good use of that, like, bright vibration that you're able to add?
Fantastic.
Right? So I just wanted to add to the, what if you don't do anything with it? What if you don't, this is too much, I don't want to go into this. There's an inner reason we fight doing anything that is a little outside of the box. Either we don't feel safe, or we like where we're at. Anytime there's any kind of change, but I'll tell you what, the universe will make things really compelling for you to move towards solutions, especially when you are getting bombarded by negativity and emotional triggers, and it's going to become very intimate to the quality of your life. So, I was advised a long time ago when I first had my awakening, this is good, now move with it. You have that awareness because the vibrations are going to keep on increasing. The planet itself is shifting and changing. And if you're not shifting and changing with it, and it's going to be the harder way rather than, oh yeah, let me just move with this. So yeah.
Fantastic. Woo. So so everybody's going to really relate to what you're talking about today. And I know that you've got a free gift for people who want to know more about the work you do, and also you've got an offer for people. So would you like to say a few words about those?
Sure. Okay, so the free gift is the Joyful Path. I recorded this a little bit ago, but it's an MP3 file, 20 minutes. And basically you're talking about the 6 keys to emotional balance, healthy connection, inner peace, how I see it. What are the important things we need to remember? That is a free gift. And then the item for sale is like my favorite. It's called Expansion to Joy. I did it not last year before last. It's a retreat. It was a 3-hour retreat. I hope someday to make this like a big thing. I really do. I can see it. I can see it. It's 3 hours, and the teachings are energetic sensitivity, thoughts, intuition, emotions, trauma, truth and transformation, relationship, success, and then some clearing tools, because not just the tools, when we activate our energy body, we are wired to clear negativity. We are wired to be connected to spirit. We are wired to just be so much more, to embody that spirit. And it's happening. So when you cooperate with it and you move along with what that is, and you press on the gas sometimes, you're going to be in awe of what you're going to find. So
fantastic. Oh, so the links to both of those are underneath here, right underneath this interview, everybody. So if these are speaking to you, now is the time to grab these. I'd love to say a massive thank you to you, Michelle, for coming and talking about this with us today, because as I've said many times in the last 30 minutes, I think this is such an important topic. And I think that what you've shared is just so relevant and so powerful and so illuminating for us. So thank you to you.
thank you. Thank you.
And everybody here, okay, I love to know, how is this connecting with you? What happened when you watched this? What happened? Did you get any insights? Did you get chills going through your body? What happened? Did it trigger something for you, perhaps? I would love to know. So you can email me. It's the best way. You can just reply to any of the emails for this summit and say, hey, Michelle's talk, wow, or whatever it is. And anything that you share with me, I'll pass on to Michelle, so she'll get that as well, so she'll know that her work is actually connecting in a powerful way with people. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us today, and it's just a final thank you to Michelle again. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you, everyone. Reach out to me if you have any questions. I am around, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you, Alison, too. Thank you.
Okay, bye, everyone.
Bye.